Buckle up, everyone, because today we're taking a wild ride into the world of motorcycle helmets.
Yeah, we're not just talking about strapping the old helmet on.
Mm.
We're going deep into the tech, the design, the whole shebang.
And to navigate this maze of motorcycle helmet mysteries, we're turning to tech whiz Paulo Laureano and his recent blog post over at My Adventures in Tech. He just dropped this awesome post about his own helmet buying journey.
And let me tell you, it's packed with insights.
Yeah.
Whether you're a seasoned rider or just thinking about hopping on a bike for the first time, this deep dive is for you.
Absolutely. So Laureano kicks things off by breaking down the anatomy of a helmet. And it's kind of amazing how much goes into something we often just kind of take for granted, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
He talks about the outer shell and the inner liner. So the outer shell, I get it. That's the tough, colorful part that everyone sees. But what's the deal with this inner liner? What's going on in there?
See, that inner liner, that's where the real magic happens when it comes to protecting your precious noggin. Imagine it kind of like a crumple zone in a car.
Okay.
It's designed to crush upon impact, and by doing that, it absorbs and distributes all those intense forces so your skull doesn't have to.
So it's like a sacrificial layer in a way?
Exactly. It deforms in a very controlled way,
Yeah.
and that prevents those forces from reaching your head with full-on, full force.
Wow, I never thought about it like
Yeah,
that.
it's pretty incredible, right?
That's incredible. So you've got this high-tech cushion protecting your brain, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But then Laureano dives into how different brands approach helmet design. And he seems particularly impressed with ARAI. He even calls them the purists of the helmet world. What makes them so special?
Well, with ARI, it's all about maximizing safety.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes, even if it means sacrificing extra bells and whistles or a super flashy look,
Interesting.
they believe that every single element you add, like hinges on a modular helmet or even a built-in sun visor, creates a potential weak point. And that's a risk they're just not willing to take when it comes to that outer shell and inner liner we were just talking about.
So they're all about that pure structural integrity.
You got it. They believe that a smooth, uninterrupted shell is the absolute best way to deflect impact energy. And it also minimizes those rotational forces that act on your head during a crash. It's this laser focus on impact absorption that really sets ARAI apart.
So the ARAI sounds like they're really committed to safety, but Laureano also talks about Shoei and a shoe birth, and he seems to like them too for different reasons. Are they kind of like compromising some of that ARAI level protection to add those extra features?
It's not really about sacrificing safety altogether. It's more about striking that balance.
Yeah.
Finding that sweet spot between protection and what riders need out there on the road.
Mm.
Shoei and Schuberth are still super focused on safety, but they're also pushing the boundaries with new materials, sleek designs, all sorts of things to give riders things like lighter weight, better ventilation, and even those integrated sun visors we were talking about earlier.
Gotcha. So it's less about being less safe and more about different ways of getting to that same level of safety.
Exactly. Take HOEI, for instance.
Hmm.
They've developed this really cool thing called AIM.
AIM.
Yeah. It stands for Advanced Integrated Matrix Plus. Basically what they've done is they've come up with this proprietary layering process, and they use all these different types of fiberglass organic fibers and even the special resins.
Wow.
And the result is a shell that's super strong, super impact resistant, but also incredibly lightweight.
Which is a big deal. Let's be real. Nobody wants a crick in their neck on top of everything
No
else.
kidding.
So lighter weight without sacrificing strength. That's impressive. What about Schuberth? What's their thing?
Schuberth. They're all about aerodynamics. They're known for their sleek designs, and they have this unique process called direct fiber processing, or DFP.
DFP.
Picture this. They take fiberglass and mold it under incredibly high pressure. And the result is a shell that's not only strong and lightweight, but also insanely precise in its shape. And this precision allows them to create those super sleek wind-cheating designs that Schuberth is known for.
Oh, so that's how they get that signature look. It's all about reducing wind noise and buffeting, which I imagine makes a huge difference, especially on longer rides.
Oh, absolutely. It makes a world of difference.
Okay, but here's a thought. Laureano also mentions open face and modular helmets, and I gotta admit, I love the look of a classic open face helmet.
Yeah.
But isn't that kind of like choosing style over safety?
Well, there's definitely a trade-off with open face helmets. You get that feeling of freedom, the better visibility, the airflow. It's awesome for cruising on a hot day,
For sure.
but you're giving up a lot of protection by leaving your face exposed. That's the downside.
Yeah, that's true. It's all about weighing the risks and rewards, I guess. So what about modular helmets? Where do they fit into all of this? They seem like they might be a good compromise.
Modular helmets are interesting. They've got that chin bar that flips up, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. You can ride with full face protection when you need it,
Right.
but then you can flip that chin bar up if you want a little more air or if you need to chat with someone at a stoplight without taking your whole helmet off.
That is pretty versatile. So we've got all these different brands and technologies, different styles of helmets even.
Yeah, tons of options.
But Laureano keeps coming back to one really important point, and that's fit.
Absolutely.
He says it's the most crucial factor no matter what.
It's true.
Why is that? Why is fit so important?
Think about it this way. You could have the most expensive, the most technologically advanced helmet in the world. But if it doesn't fit your head properly, it's not going to do its job when you need it most.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Remember that inner liner we talked about, that crumple zone?
Yeah, the sacrificial layer that absorbs the impact.
Right. If your helmet is too loose or too tight or just the wrong shape for your head, that liner isn't going to be in the right position to do its job. It's like wearing shoes that are 2 sizes too big. They're not going to protect your feet very well.
That's a great analogy. So fit should be the first thing people think about even before they start looking at brands or anything else.
Absolutely. Fit first, everything else comes second.
Got it. Okay, so Laureano throws out a few acronyms when he's talking about safety certifications. DOT, ECE, SNELL. It's kind of an alphabet soup, especially for someone who's just starting to learn about helmets. Can you break down what those certifications actually mean?
Sure. Those certifications are basically like standardized tests.
Okay.
Helmets have to pass these tests to be sold legally, and each certification tells you a little bit about the level of protection the helmet offers.
So it's like a quality control system for helmets.
Exactly. Think of them as different levels of assurance that the helmet you're buying meets certain safety standards.
That makes sense. So let's start with DOT. What does that mean?
DOT stands for the Department of Transportation. It's the mandatory standard for helmets sold in the United States. Basically, if a helmet's being sold here, it has to meet a set of basic safety requirements set by the DOT.
Okay, so that's like the bare minimum, the entry level for safety.
Yeah, you could say that. Then you've got ECE, which stands for Economic Commission for Europe.
That's a mouthful.
It is a bit of a mouthful, but don't let the name fool you. This is actually a more stringent standard, and it's recognized in way more countries, over 50 countries around the world, actually.
So ECE is kind of like the global gold standard for helmets then.
Yeah, you could say that. ECE testing is a lot tougher than DOT. They look at things like how well the helmet absorbs impacts at higher speeds.
Oh.
And they also test to see how the helmet holds up in different weather conditions, things like that.
So it's put through its paces to make sure it can handle anything you throw at it.
Exactly. And then you've got SNELL. Now, SNELL is interesting because it's actually a voluntary certification,
Okay.
but it's widely considered to be the most rigorous helmet safety standard in the world.
Oh, wow. So if DOT is like passing your driving test and ECE is like acing your driving test in a blizzard, SNELL is like what? Qualifying for Formula One.
That's a perfect analogy. SNELL really puts those helmets through the ringer. They tested even higher impact speeds.
Intense.
And they use more complex impact points. They're really trying to simulate all kinds of different crash scenarios to make sure those helmets can handle it.
So when you see that SNELL sticker on a helmet, they're not messing around.
Absolutely. It's the gold standard for a reason.
This has been amazing. I mean, I knew helmets were important, but I had no idea just how much goes into choosing the right one.
It's a lot to take in, for
Mhm.
sure. But once you understand the basics, the different layers, the brands, the certifications, it gives you the power to make a really informed decision.
For sure. And I
Yeah.
think Laureano's journey really highlights that. He took the time to figure out what was important to him, like his writing style, his
Yeah.
priorities.
Right.
And then he chose helmets that actually align with those things. It's not just about walking into a store and grabbing whatever looks cool,
Not at all. It's
Yeah.
about finding that helmet that fits you perfectly, both literally and figuratively.
Well said. So what about you out there listening? What are your non-negotiables when it comes to a motorcycle helmet? Have your priorities changed now that you've gone on this deep dive with us? Head over to our social media and tell us all about it. We love hearing from you. And until next time, ride safe, everyone.